Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're going to give it about 2 minutes for people to get in here, and we will go ahead and get started. Are you seeing the screen okay, Stacy?
I do. I see just part of it, and then I see the next page. Is that how?
There we go.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, Mastering Your Company's Retirement Benefits, options featuring Union Bank and Trust. I am Jenny Pteski, and I am the Programming and Communications Manager here for the Better Business Bureau Midwest Plains. Just wanted to let you know we are recording today's webinar, and later on we will send you a follow-up email with a link to the webinar as well as the presentation information that is being given today. Our special guest today is Stacy, who is Vice President, Marketing Manager of Retirement Plan Services from Union Bank and Trust. Stacy is passionate about building relationships and fact-finding what it takes to earn your retirement business, ensuring your company has the best retirement plan that meets the needs not only for your business, but also for your employees. She is dedicated to finding the next business customer for life and engaging them in the RPS experience. Stacy's passion is evident to everyone she meets. She is actively involved in many local nonprofit and industry committees, including serving on the board of directors for the White Cane Foundation and as a Lincoln Rotary Club 14 member. During the presentation today, you will gain a comprehensive understanding of how to optimize retirement plans to safeguard the financial futures of both your employees and your business. Whether you're exploring new avenues or seeking to enhance existing strategies, the webinar promises to equip you with the knowledge and tools necessary to make informed decisions and to pave the way for a more secure tomorrow. We ask that if you have any questions to please go ahead and put them in the Q&A section, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. So welcome, Stacy. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenny. And first, I just wanted to thank the Better Business Bureau and Jenny and Josh for inviting me to present for you today. Really, we're just going to do a very high-level overview of different types of retirement plans. We're going to talk a little bit about their characteristics, and then why would your business need to have a retirement plan? So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Hopefully this works. Now, Jenny, can you push it for me? There we go. Great. So you can go to the next one too. And just briefly, Jenny provided an introduction of myself, but just very high level. I have been with Union Bank and Trust for 30 years. I always say the first 10 years of my career were spent on the traditional bank side, and then the last 20 in the wealth division, and specifically in retirement plan services. In retirement plans, I've held different roles. I have been an education manager. We have a dedicated education team that conducts retirement education for our clients. And then I've also been a relationship manager. I've had a book of business where I'm the main contact for the business customer, and we service the plan accordingly with the employer. And then most recently, I've transitioned into this business development role. So, okay, so we're going to talk first about the simple IRA. That's a saving. Simple stands for Savings Incentive Match Plan for Employees. We'll talk about the traditional 401k, and then we'll also talk about the Safe Harbor 401k. If you want to move to the next slide. So some of the characteristics of the simple IRA. So what type of business can participate? You must have 100 or fewer employees, and you should not be sponsoring any sort of other retirement plan currently. Participating employees must have earned at least 500 in pay from your business in any 2 preceding years, and must be expected to earn at least 5,000 in the current year that you open the simple IRA. An employer can choose a less restrictive participation requirements. So an example, an employer can expand the group of eligible employees by reducing that or eliminating that minimum compensation requirement. So that is something that an employer can decide to do if they want to. The next slide. So who can contribute funds? Well, obviously the employee is going to be the one that's going to be contributing those funds. They're going to be a pre-tax deferral option that's going to be allowed. That's going to give the employee a tax advantage savings for retirement. And then Roth deferrals are also allowed. So Secure 2.0 was a big retirement plan legislation that was implemented in 23 and 24 and in 25. But in 2024, what came of that was that Roth deferrals are now also allowed in the simple IRA. The employer has to elect to allow those, but that is an option moving forward. And then employees of all ages can defer up to $16,000 per year in 2024. And if you're over the age of 50, there is what's called a catch-up provision. And that catch-up provision is for anyone over 50 can elect in another $3,500. So in total, they could defer up to $19,500. These contributions change every year and are subject to cost of living adjustments. So the IRS decides usually in the fall what the new limits would be then for the 2025 year. Next slide. So for the employers, they also have to contribute to a simple IRA. So they can choose what type of formula they would like to provide to the employees. The first one is a mandatory dollar for dollar up to 3% of their compensation. And then the second option is what we call a non-elective 2% of their compensation for all eligible employees. So an employer has to decide which employer contribution they would like to provide to the employees. Next slide. Next, we're going to just talk a little bit about like the tax benefits, not only to the employers, but to the employees. So the employer contribution that's given to the employees can be deducted from federal taxable income every year. And then obviously for the employees, they can make a pre-tax or a Roth contribution. So if they were elect the pre-tax contribution, that reduces their taxable income every year when they go to file their income taxes. And then there are some penalties that are associated if they were to take a premature distribution. So there is a 25% IRS penalty if these funds are withdrawn prior to 2 years from their first deposit and the employee is under the age of 59 and a half. And then after 2 years, there is a 10% penalty that applies to any withdrawals that occur before the employee reaches 59 and a half. Next slide. And then lastly, what are the investment options that are available to the employees? So depending upon your provider, they should provide you a list of investment options available in the plan. And typically they are a mutual fund option. So, and then also those investment elections and transfers can be done at any time. So if a participant, for example, would like to move from the Vanguard 500 mutual fund to a Vanguard target date fund, they can do that at any time and transfer those holdings and elections. Next is the traditional 401k options that I'm going to talk about. So we're going to transition. We just talked about simple IRAs for the businesses under 100 employees. Now we're going to transition into what a traditional 401k looks like. So any business can participate and have a traditional 401k. It can also be a tax exempt organization. So if you are a nonprofit, you can also have a 401k. So any type of business can have that. And then the employees, again, make contributions to the 401k. So some of the restrictions that are, or eligibility requirements for employees when they can contribute is they can't exclude anyone that's 21 years of age or older. They could have completion of at least 1 year of service and 1,000 hours. There are some special rules that do apply for long-term part-time employees. That's part of the Secure 2.0 provisions that I discussed briefly at the beginning of the presentation. So if you were to exclude part-time employees, you may have to let them into the plan based upon the special rules. Employees can defer up to $23,000 for the 2024 year. And then they do allow catch-up contributions for any employee that's over the age of 50, and they can defer an extra $7,500. Next slide. And then for the employers, the employer has the discretion to give any employee up to 25% of the total eligible payroll. And that can be in the form of a traditional matching contribution or a profit sharing contribution. Some of the tax benefits for the employer contributions, again, those are deductible based upon that 25% that we talked about. And then employee deferrals are pre-tax or they are tax deferred Roth. So if an employee elects to do pre-tax deferrals, that will reduce their taxable income for that year. There is a 10% premature distribution penalty, and they must start taking distributions from the 401k plan at age 73 unless they're still working and employed. The third type of retirement plan is the Safe Harbor 401k plan. This is like a traditional 401k plan, but it must provide for employer contributions to be 100% vested. And vesting, what that means is ownership in the employer money. So with the Safe Harbor 401k plan, always the employer contributions are 100% vested. So if an employee leaves, they can take that money with them, and it's not tied to a vesting schedule. This allows this plan design allows employers to automatically satisfy non-discrimination testing. And very high level, there is some testing that goes into traditional 401ks. But with the Safe Harbor 401k, this does allow for the employer to pass some testing without problem. And then again, specific contributions and vesting for those employee notices must be met. So because of the vesting and the specific contribution types, you do have to give notices to those employees at least annually. We go to the next slide. Some of the benefits, again, just high level, is it does eliminate annual testing requirements that I just briefly talked about, and maintaining that vesting schedule. There's no vesting schedule tied to that. It does allow for highly compensated employees to maximize that IRS deferral limit that we talked about. So the 23,000 and the 7,500 catch-up that we talked about. So a definition of a highly compensated employee, just so that you're aware, is any individual for 2024 that makes over 155,000 or they're a 5% or greater owner in the company. So that's the definition of a highly compensated employee. And then it also relieves the plan from any top-heavy testing. And briefly, top-heavy testing is when 60% of the assets are owned or held by owners and highly compensated employees. You oftentimes have to give a minimum contribution to those non-highlies if the assets are over 60%. So that does relieve the plan from that top-heavy testing requirement as well. Next slide. Next, we're going to just talk about the different types of safe harbor employer contributions that are required. So the first one is that basic match formula. And what that match formula is dollar for dollar up to 3, and then 50 cents on the next 2% of compensation. So the example is if an employee defers 5%, your employer, you are going to give them 4% of their compensation. So that's the basic match formula. The enhanced match is dollar for dollar up to at least a minimum of 4%. It can be 5% and it can be 6%, but at a minimum, it does have to be at least 4%. So it's 100% return on your contribution. And then the most common is called the non-elective contribution. And this contribution is for all eligible employees, and it's 3% of their compensation. So those are the 3 types of employer contributions that are required with the Safe Harbor 401k plan. As I shared earlier, those contributions must always be 100% vested. So the employee owns those dollars. And I give the example, like if you hire me and then I decide to terminate and I have Safe Harbor contributions that you have given me as the employer, and I terminate, I can take those dollars with me when I quit. So again, the benefit, the pros and the cons of a Safe Harbor 401k plan, the pros are that you pass all those testing requirements with no problem, but then the take is that the employee gets to take that money with them when they leave. There is no service conditions, so there's no last day rule or hours requirement. Typically with like a traditional match or a profit sharing, you can implement, they have to be employed on the last day of the plan year and have 1,000 hours. So those 2 requirements are lifted. They're not allowed with the Safe Harbor 401k. And then, as I shared earlier, there is Safe Harbor notices that need to be given to all eligible employees, and those need to be 30 to 90 days before the start of each plan year. So typically for us, if your fiscal year end is a 12/31, we would assist you and provide that notice to the employer to then give to those eligible employees in the fall, usually in about October. Next slide. So as we conclude today, I just wanted to just high level talk about why it is important for your business to have a retirement plan. So according to the Center of Retirement Research at Boston College, about half of the small businesses in the US have some sort of retirement plan for their employees. I do feel that there is a gap and that some employers do not offer any sort of retirement benefit for their employees. And it's super, super important, not only for you as the business owner, but also for your employees as they plan and also assist with retirement or money in retirement. So our education team always shares the graph or the pie chart that shows the different sources of money that you may have in retirement. And Social Security is just a small sliver of that pie. So that's why it's so important to be able to offer some sort of benefit, planning benefit for your employees so they can bridge that gap. Because again, not everyone's going to be able to just live off of Social Security. And then it just also helps your employees maintain a quality of life after they retire, so that they're not, I mean, they're going to be on some sort of fixed income anyway, but be able to have options available to them in addition to Social Security. And then as a business owner, it is a benefit that shows your employees that you're investing in their future. And what a great benefit that is available to the employees that you're offering them. So in conclusion, really, it's just an opportunity it was a great opportunity for me to present to you today why it's important to have one of these retirement planning tools available to you. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer any of those right now.
Stacy, I have a question in regards to if somebody's at a business for like 3 or 4 years, say, and they have their 401k, then they move to a company that has like a simple IRA. Like, can they combine all of their different 401ks and simple IRAs, or does it have to be continuously rolled over through that one specific one?
Yeah, so for 401k plans, you can rollovers are allowed. IRAs, yes, those are allowed into, well, it's a plan provision that the employer has to adopt. But so if the plan allows for it, then yes, you can roll those over and consolidate those. You can roll over a current simple IRA into another simple IRA if, again, the rollovers are allowed. It just depends. So it's per plan, per employer on what they want to decide.
So if they do not allow you to roll over, then with that, what happens to the money?
Yeah, so it would just stay. Like if it's a 401k plan, and depending upon the balance, there's lots of ifs, but depending upon the threshold in the 401k plan, if it's 7,000 or less, they can force it out after giving notices where you have the options to roll over into an IRA. Like for us, for Union Bank, if you're with a company and you terminate, we provide notice to you what your rollover options are. And one of them is to roll into an IRA, mutual fund IRA here with us. And if you don't do anything and it's 7,000 or less, then we just will cash out the money and you'll pay the penalties. We take the state and federal, and then there's the 1099 that you get at the end of the year. And then with a simple IRA, you own that, so you keep that. And it just would stay with the provider that you have it with currently. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
So then the next question that somebody has is, does withdraws mean that that if a program has been terminated, that you are taxed twice if you're rolling it over into another plan?
No, sorry, no. So if you are planning to roll it into another plan, there would be no penalties at all. It's only if you withdraw it to go buy a bike or to go buy a car. Or, we see all sorts of things, but those, especially if you're over 59 and a half or under 59 and a half. But if you're rolling it into another retirement option, then there's no penalties at all.
Okay. If someone has not started their 401k yet, what would you recommend for them to do?
I would suggest visiting with someone and talking through the pros and the cons of the simple IRA versus the traditional 401k and the safe harbor 401k. So, I spoke to those at very high level, but it also depends upon what the employer can budget with respect to employer money. So, if you're just starting out, I would encourage you to look at a simple IRA option. And then I always tell my individuals that I meet with, in business owners, small business owners especially, that once the simple IRA reaches a threshold of like 500,000 or $1 million, then we look at converting it to a safe harbor 401k or a traditional 401k. And, here at the bank, and I work closely with a person that opens simple IRAs. So we go back and forth. We recommend and refer people back and forth, businesses. So if I have a business that doesn't want to conduct or open a simple, or excuse me, a traditional 401k or a safe harbor 401k, then I'm going to, have them meet with Amy Kurkowski to open the simple IRA. And so I didn't go into a lot of detail because I really would like for you to consult with your tax advisor, but there are some tax benefits to opening a simple IRA right now. And so I would just encourage you to look into that and have that conversation with your accountant or CPA prior to making the phone call. But anybody that needs assistance or wants help navigating those different options, I'm happy to help too.
And then last question, I guess, is are there other places or banks that people can go to open up their own individual 401k? And is there like a threshold of how many you can have open?
You can only have one 401k or simple IRA open at a time as a business owner. And but individual IRAs, which is separate, think of it as two separate things. So you have the simple IRA, which is at the business level, but you can open an individual IRA as well. It just depending upon your income threshold, if you qualify for the individual IRA. But you can open IRAs, you can open them direct, you can open them through Union Bank. We can navigate, where that needs to go. Again, I would probably refer you to Amy Kurkowski here at Union Bank, but you can open one through Vanguard, Fidelity. You can go direct to any of those. Schwab, TD, well, it used to be TD Ameritrade, now Schwab. So there's definitely options available at an indirect, or you can open them with an advisor type person as well. And that question, sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth, but it was for individual IRAs or was it for a simple or both?
For both.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and those, I think you can accomplish all those, with a Vanguard direct or a Fidelity direct also.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. I do not see any other questions. So thank you for answering all of those and for your presentation today too. Just real quick, just wanted to let everybody know about some upcoming events that we have here at the Bureau. Tomorrow we have a webinar with the Alzheimer's Associations about tips for a healthy living in regards to brain awareness. And then we also have on June 25th, Protecting Your Business and Consumers from Scams. And that is actually with the Federal Trade Commission that will be doing the presentation that day. So we're excited to have them helping us out for that. And then just as a reminder, September 24th will be our 27th annual Torch of Awards luncheon. All the winners have been announced. And so if you have not seen who has won this year, please visit our social media sites, Facebook, to see those announcements take place and who the winners are and come out and celebrate with us. We're excited for all of the winners. So congratulations to them. And then just make sure you continue to visit our website, bbbinc.org, just throughout the year to see more upcoming events that we have. Again, I am Jenny Tukeski, and if you have any ideas or things that you would like to see the Bureau put on, please reach out to me and let me know. I would love to be able to talk to you about those opportunities. Again, we thank all of you for taking time out of your day in regards to this webinar. And hopefully, if you haven't already started 401ks or simple IRAs for your employees or yourself, please start to do so and help them out. But then if you have any more questions, Stacy is always here to answer those for you too. And her contact information will be in the follow-up email that I send out later on today. And lastly, thank you again, Stacy, for your time. I know your time is precious, so we appreciate all of your help today with this too.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And then lastly, we just have a quick survey. If you want to go ahead and scan the QR code, you can. Again, it will be in the follow-up email too. We're always looking to do better. So please let us know how this was. And we hope that we met your expectations today of this webinar. Thank you again, everybody, and have a great day. Be safe.
Thank you.